Hi everyone, how are you doing? I hope you guys are doing great. As you can see, I tried a little something with that little countdown. I hope it worked, but I hope you guys are doing great. I missed you all. Hope you guys are having a great week so far. Let me take out this music so I can chat. Anyways, yeah, I hope you guys are having a fantastic week so far. As a matter of fact, I should say fantastic, not just great, fantastic. Um, but anyways, welcome to Facts and Two Cents. As you know, this is a channel that's supposed to Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Harry, Meghan, Big Boy Archie, Baby Lily, Mama Doria, Pula Guy, the chickens, and the whole Invictus community. Hello, everyone. If you can give me a shout out, let me know if my little countdown thing that I was trying worked. I don't know. It's just like I was trying the thing on YouTube and that just wasn't working. So I was like, let's try this one and see if this little countdown worked. So I hope it played. At least it played on my end. So, but hello, guys. Let's see who we have in the chat. Sylvia. Hi, Sylvia. And April May and Dara, Catherine, Betty and Wendy and Kenneth and Jessica and Dara, Kaniva. And I said hi to Lydia and Trish Nelly earlier. Emma Day and Mara and Maggie, Joyce, Fancy, Rosa, Joan, Ursula. I think I said Dory before. Karen. Hi, Karen. Let's see who else. That's what I see in the chat so far. So, and then our wonderful moderators, Lydia and Church Nelly. Thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you guys had a great, again, having a great time. So if anyone could tell me if that little countdown thing worked, I don't know if it did or not. Did it work? If you could give me a thumbs up, let me know. It would be great to know if that worked. Trying to change things up a little bit. But anyways, so in our world of Sussexes, things are going great. I thought that they would be like hanging out under a tree for a while. And oh, I got a thumbs up. So I guess it worked. Thank you, Lydia. Thank you, Dara. Rihanna said yes. Oh, thank you so much. All right. So I guess a little countdown things. Oh, thank you, Jessica. Thank you, guys. I try to figure out why the YouTube part of that thing doesn't work, because they have like some really cool music and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, that's cool, and I will put it on and it just doesn't work. So anyways, so yeah, back to our faves. I was thinking like, oh, okay, they're, we're not gonna hear from them a while, because I'm sure, especially Harry's probably be sleeping for a month after after the hectic week in the Invictus Games. But we heard from Harry today. Well, I don't know when they recorded this, but we heard from him today, and I was like, oh, cool. So yeah, we saw this pop up today with Better Up. This like a podcast, Master of Scale. Him and Alex Robichaud did this podcast, and it's about mental fitness. And basically, I don't know if you guys saw it. It was on Twitter. It's I'm gonna put a link to it. I just realized I forgot. I was putting everything in the description of this video, and then this is what I forgot to put there. So I will put a link there. So if you haven't seen it, if you're not on Twitter and you haven't seen it, I will put a link there so that you can actually listen to it as well. And Alex is basically talking about his journey from being a young hotshot executive at Disney and all of those places, and then completely burning out, and then realizing being diagnosed with PTSD. And it's so funny, it's like a lot of people, like, he didn't even know that you can have PTSD if you're not in the military, because in a lot of ways, military or some kind of defense force or police or whatever, we always associate PTSD with those things, and you don't realize like there are other things that can cause this as well. And so he didn't even realize it until he was getting night sweats and all of those things, and he just really burnt out. It's like burning the candle at both ends, and burnt out, and then had to learn how to take care of himself and consider his own wellness. And so he talks about his journey to where they are now. And then there's a little bit of Harry, and they're so, this company is kind of smart. They also have a whole interview with Harry, but you have to join or sign up for, I guess, a membership or whatever to their company, to be able to hear the one on Harry. I was like, shit. And so I haven't heard the complete one on Harry yet, but there were little snippets of it where he talked about, basically mental fitness, as opposed to, as opposed to saying mental health, because when people say mental health, then people associate mental health with mental illness. And so he's focusing on changing the narrative to mental fitness, where, instead of say someone waiting until they are, like he said, on the floor and completely messed up in a lot of ways, but to really have, work on having mechanisms in place where you're not going to get to that place, where on a daily basis, if you're focused on those things, it will help you to stay mentally fit so that you don't burn out. And so that's what Harry's going to be talking about. And he talked a little bit about, someone he's in the military when he was there, who really was injured, and then they had, I guess out of the military, they had gone away to on a skiing trip or something like that, and came back, and he was talking to them, and it's like a whole different person he was talking to. And he saw the benefit of whatever sport his friend or his his buddy from the military did. It really, I mean, of course there are other things that help as well, but he talks about just how much that helped him. And so that was part of helping him to see like the benefit of sport and how it helped change a person and help a person get to a place where they can actually cope and they can be mentally fit. So it's really cool. At first I was like, what, when I was listening to Alex and stuff, and I was like, where is this going? How does it tie into the military? But after listening to him and listening to the journey of his story, and he got to like PTSD and stuff, I was like, oh, okay, that's the tie-in. So yeah, so it was so I'm gonna post it, the link in the show notes, and so that you guys can have it. So, and then I'm telling you, one of the things I'm realizing, because, last podcast, I was like, yeah, okay, so this is the end of the Invictus Games. And I'm thinking, yeah, we're wrapping up and everything. And, we'll talk about the Invictus Games when they come around in 2023, But I'm realizing that nobody wants to let go of the Invictus Games. And it is so funny, there's that quote, and I don't know if I'm even saying it right, but it says, people may not remember what you say to them or what you do, but they will always remember how you make them feel. And this is kind of the vibe that I'm getting with Invictus Games, because nobody wants to let go. I mean, if you guys, I don't know how many of you are on Twitter, but it's just like tweet after, all these organizations, of course, Invictus Foundation and the military, and it's just everyone is tweeting about the Invictus Games, and it's so funny and it's so cool to see. It's like everyone had such an incredible experience that no one wanted to let it go. And that is the power of when you make someone feel. And it's like, it was hard to not have the feelings, the energy, the atmosphere, and all of those things from the Invictus Games, so it's really fun. But we this one dropped today. Harry basically is just thanking the volunteers, and you guys have seen all the volunteers from, if you've seen any of the videos, you've seen the ones in yellow. We had this picture, I think probably one of the first episodes we did really on the Invictus Games, this mass amount of volunteers in yellow, and all through the videos you'll see them there. And it's one thing people were saying, just how wonderful the volunteers were. And it's just like, yeah, I know one of our squaddies, Peace, who I've shown a couple of her videos. She actually met Harry and all of that stuff, and she said she's going to be a volunteer next year in Dusseldorf. So yes. So maybe I'll meet her there. And again, I don't know how many of you guys are planning to go, but I'm planning to go. And Jessica is like, me, I'm missing the Invictus Games and the joy I felt. I'm telling you, we're all going through withdrawals. I mean, it is so wonderful to just be retweeting people and responding to all these organizations tweeting about this. It is just so wonderful. Nobody wants to let this go. And this is the U.S. Embassy in Hague, and they're like, Invictus Games and Al left us with extraordinary memories from the visit of a presidential delegation led by Secretary Pete to a great U.S. versus NL wheelchair basketball game. The spirit of Invictus Games could be felt throughout. And again, this is the U.S. Embassy in Hague, and it's just like one of the things that I kept saying, is just how the UK government just completely ignored their athletes, the vets there. But one of the things that the group of people that I was so impressed with, that really had been there the whole time and just really supporting the vets, is the embassy, the UK embassy in the Netherlands. And so it was, I was just really impressed with them. So it's just really great to see the embassies here. And this is the Netherlands embassy in the UK, and they're like, Major Jan van Zemen. I don't know how to say that. The Invictus Games are a tribute to the veterans who have dedicated themselves to the values that we hold dear in The Hague: peace and justice. And if you see a picture of, it's so funny, someone was saying, this is the bromance that we didn't know we needed. Of Prince Harry and King Willem. I mean, and I think I last week was the one when I shared when I showed those pictures, and I'm sure you've seen a lot more if you're on social media. It's all over social media with Prince Willem and Prince Harry and King Willem. I mean, they were just like, we didn't know we needed that friendship, but there you go. It's just a joy to see them, and see them have so much fun hanging out, after the press was like, King Willem is going to snub Harry and Meghan. Oh, Lord, talk about eating your words, And then here's the UK Embassy in Iraq tweeting about it. Huge congratulations to 19 military veterans from Team Iraq who took part in the Invictus Games. Prince Harry congratulated the Iraq medal winners personally. Invictus Games is an international sport competition for wounded servicemen and women, started by Prince Harry in 2014. So it's just so wonderful to see the UK Embassy in Iraq really supporting the Iraq team. And that's the one thing that I really was impressed with, how the embassies really, they just were out there supporting, and the different defense minister and different defense departments, they were absolutely amazing as well. And we were like retweeting them and, posting their stuff. And this is the Department of Defense. And that's a wrap. 7 days of unforgettable competition and camaraderie concluded with the closing ceremony celebrating the 20 nations who came together to compete at Invictus Games. Catch up on our G22 stories, and they posted a bunch of pictures and stuff like that. So again, I don't know, it just warmed my heart to see. It's like, again, it's how you feel. And we weren't there. I wasn't there personally, but oh my goodness, I know I just enjoyed every bit of it. And I'm like, can we just, prolong it for a few more days so we could just so yeah, it just I am just very, very, very excited. So for 2023, I cannot wait to be there. And so yeah. And also, more information going on with the Invictus Games. Last episode I had shared with the flag. Who knew this was a thing? I had no idea this was a thing. That the flag, they were taking the flag from The Hague, and they were the bike riding veterans and past athletes in the games were taking the flag from The Hague to Düsseldorf. and they were taking it there by bike. And it was just, and so they rode their bikes from The Hague to Düsseldorf, and they have finally arrived, and so Invictus Düsseldorf, they tweeted out, "She's home. The flag of the Invictus Games has arrived at its destination in Düsseldorf." I don't know how to say that word. I don't know how to say that name. Will be our Invictus Games Park at IG 23. After the short stop, we will take the flag to town to officially make Düsseldorf a home for respect. And so it's just, it's just so wonderful that the bikers came in and they were applause. So I guess this is the main stadium that the games will take place next year. So it'll be it's big, that thing. It's like, oh wow, that'll be a big thing. So and here they are, out in, I guess this is the courtyard or whatever, the city count, whatever that place is, town hall, all taking pictures of the flag. But it's so funny, like, again, I don't know, maybe you guys were following it closer than I did. The last one that I saw was in Australia, and that was literally the first one that I saw, because I wasn't paying attention to the royal family or Harry or any one of those before, so I didn't really know about the Invictus Games. And so the little bit I saw from Australia, I didn't know it was a thing. It was like really done like the Olympics. They're taking the flag and all of that stuff, and I was like, oh, who knew? So I'm like, oh, this is all a thing. So I don't know, maybe you guys know, and I just didn't know. So but hi, everybody joining us. I see Annie and Kate and Alita. Yes, I see new people joining us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we're just going through a little bit of us not letting go of the the Invictus Games. And this is JJ. JJ is one of Prince Harry's BFFs, and he took part in the first one. He literally, if you've seen interviews with him, he really credits the Invictus Games for why he is alive today. And so he was injured in Afghanistan and, really went through a horrible time, and basically, credits Prince Harry and him creating Afghanistan for why he is still alive. And it's so amazing because you may remember he was in the dance show in the UK, and then now he's actually hosting. He's the one that hosted the BBC recap show, and actually Prince Harry also did an interview with them, and so it's wonderful to see, and so he is back home and he's doing his top 3 highlights of the week. Of the games, and it's wonderful. And so he's asking people to share theirs, and again, nobody wants to let go of the feeling. They're just holding on with their dear life to the feeling of Invictus. So I just think it's just fantastic. And I just, again, I don't know how many of you here are thinking of going to Düsseldorf, but it'll be great. I know it was wonderful. It was wonderful just, to see the squaddies that were there this time, and they were basically the reporters, and they did such a fantastic job. So I am just, hey, I hope we can all go and we can all meet up and be, and enjoy the games together. So that'll be fantastic. Yeah. And Lydia says, yeah, JJ is great, likable, and a true friend. He really is. He really, really is, the Harry, a really great friend. And yeah, so it's great to know, that Harry still has his buds from the UK, and then his buds are doing fantastic. So yeah. So anyway, so moving on from the wonderful Invictus Games, and now we have to go to Shutter Island for a bit. Well, not even Shutter Island. Shutter Island has decided to go off to the Caribbean. As we know, they are doing the Charmless Offensive Tour Part 2, and here is I saw this picture and I was like, oh gosh, really? Really? You have to come to the Caribbean and do this nonsense too? Fully dressed, watering, I guess, and the bigger picture is that there's like a hole there. So I guess they're planting trees beautifully dressed planting trees as only the royal family can do it. It's just it's like, why you gotta come to the Caribbean? And of course they're the only ones there without masks, of course, because they're special and they're royals, but yes. So anyway, so you guys remember the last time we did this, and the last episode we talked about you know it Antigua, which this is Antigua, had written this amazing letter, to Edward and Sophie. And, it says the royal family warned against insulting Black people as St. Lucia leg of the royal tour began. And let's just make this a little bit bigger. Here we go. Campaigners in Antigua urged the monarchy to account for slavery during the Goodwill and Do Not Leave Us tour of the Caribbean. The royal family has been cautioned against insulting descendants of African people who were enslaved by Britain with glib, glossed over past atrocities as the Platinum Jubilee tour of Eastern Caribbean Island nations begins in St. Lucia. And we remember this blistering letter, that I love this letter. We read the whole thing. I loved it. I love the fact that they were just like, look, we don't want to hear the nonsense from, Prince William that we heard from Prince William and Prince of Wales, Prince Charles, and David Cameron, that slavery was appalling and that it was abhorrent and it shouldn't happen. And we don't want to hear that nonsense. We know that. We've known it since the 16th century, because, part of the letter says we know that. Why? Because we have been on the receiving end of the barbarity of that. So we hear the phony sanctimony of those who came before you, that these crimes are staying on your history. For us, they're a source of genocide and of continuing international injury, injustice, and racism. We hope you will respect us by not repeating the mantra, we are not simpletons. So, when I saw it, I was like, yes, Antigua, yes. So I was fired up. I couldn't wait. I could not wait for them to get to Antigua so that they would get what they deserve, and Antigua's going to lay down the law, against it. So they got to Antigua yesterday. Was it? Yes. Yeah, I think it was yesterday. My days are rolling into one. I don't even know what day it is. But anyway, they got to Antigua. And so it says, Antigua and Barbuda PM, a prime minister, tells Prince Edward and Sophie that Britain should pay slavery reparations. The Earl and Countess of Wessex were urged by the nation's leader to use their diplomatic influence to achieve reparatory justice for the island. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. Thank you for backing up, and that letter came from the Reparation Commission, which was apparently supported by the government. And so, yeah. So I'm like, yes. So I'm, looking forward to this. And so they have the meeting, and it says, and again, this is Nadine White reporting from the Independent. She's the race correspondent at the Independent. And it says the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda has impressed upon Prince Edward and Sophie, Countess of Wessex, the importance of Britain paying slavery reparations to its former colonies following their arrival in the country for the Platinum Jubilee tour. During the official meeting with the couple at his office in St. John's, the capital, Gaston Brown, the Prime Minister of Antigua, also indicated that the nation intends to remove the Queen as head of state. And I was like, yes! And then I got to this part. At some time, though not in the immediate future. And I'm like, what? I was just like, I couldn't believe what I was reading. And then going on, it says, the Earl and Countess of Wessex were urged by the Premier to use their diplomatic influence to achieve the reparatory justice that is sought across the Caribbean. Yeah. While he claimed, that's the Prime Minister, while he claimed to understand that the royal family did not get involved in contentious issues, Mr. Brown said he wanted the couple to understand those issues so that they can use their diplomatic influence in achieving the reparatory justice that we seek. We're not trying to embarrass you, he said, we're just trying to build awareness, the prime minister told the couple. And at this point, I'm like, what happened to the fire? What happened to that letter? What happened to the... Anyway, reading on. It says, highlighting his desires for Antigua and Barbuda to become a republic, he said, as you know, we have a long history of traditions as a colony of the UK, and we continue to have the Queen as our head of state. Even though, I should say here, we aspire at some point to become a republic, but that is not currently on the cards. So the Queen will remain the head of state for some time to follow. And he goes on to say, different things, a bunch of different things. And some of what he said is that the prime minister told the couple that you will have noticed that there are no protestations here. Adding that his citizens were not holding placards. He explained the decision to not protest because they believed in having an open and very objective discussion. As we read before, he said, we're not trying to embarrass you. We're trying to build awareness, the prime minister told the couple. And I got to tell you, I don't know if you've been, maybe you guys could tell me what you got from this, but I sat there like dumbfounded because the Reparations Commission, their letter was so pointed and so direct and so fierce. I'm like, yes. And then we have a prime minister, let's go back a second here. The prime minister that's basically saying, yeah, we want to become a republic, replace the Queen of Head and State at some point, though not in the immediate future. And that, he's looking to Edward and Sophie, but like, I don't even understand, like, does he know Edward and Sophie? Has he ever, paid attention to Edward and Sophie? Like, what diplomatic clout does Edward and Sophie have? Like, you see Sophie out and about doing her little thing, with the blind and whatever else she's doing. But what exactly does Edward do? What kind of diplomatic clout does Edward actually have? That a prime minister would look at him and expect Edward to do something. And then backing away like, yeah, although we aspire to become a republic, it's not currently on the cards. So the Queen will remain as head of state for now. And and not only that, the part that really, really irritated me was the fact that he silenced his people. And then he's bragging, you will notice that when you're coming here, there were no protests. Nobody holding protest signs outside. We didn't protest because we didn't want to embarrass you, because we believe in open and objective discussion. Like, does this man know who he's talking to? Does he have any concept of who the royal family is? And at this point, this prime minister, from where they started with that letter to where what he just did is like, one, he threw his reparations commission under a bus. Two, he threw away every advantage that he had. Every advantage that he had, he just literally threw it away, fell prostrate before Edward and Sophie, no less, and then sit there and tried begging them, like literally begging descendants of colonizers to use their influence to help. And I was just like, the first thing I thought of when I saw that was just like, one, you're not even getting respect. Forget about reparations and forget about any kind of apology. you're not even getting any respect. Because honestly, if you did that, if I was in their shoes, I would look at you and laugh. Because I was like, thank you for just basically just throwing all your cards out the window and just sat there begging in front of me, because which is exactly what he did. And it's just like, so I was just like, I don't know what the reparations commission, like, I haven't heard their response to what happened there. I haven't heard, anyone's, at least I need to go, who knows? I didn't check today. So I don't know, maybe they had said something after this little embarrassing debacle. But I just like, what a way to completely dismiss the needs of your people to fall and bow down before a queen. Your people are poverty stricken. They are illiterate. There's such a high rate of illiteracy in all nations, really, of the Caribbean. For you to sit there and throw away your advantage so you can bow down to a queen is just, and then Edward and Sophie, no less. It's just the most, like, when I read that, I literally felt humiliated. Like, all the stuff that happens here with the Kate and William tour, with Jamaica standing up and like, look, we're going in a different direction and all of this stuff, and little Belize, protesting. This man is going to sit there and bow down before Edward and bow down before Edward and Sophie. And it just, I don't know. God. Let's see. Bright Eyes PBJ. Bright Eyes said, Edward did laugh in his face. And he said he hadn't taken notes. Yep. And so he could not repost what was said. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Gwendolyn. I accidentally hit you there. You were talking to the church Nelly. So yeah, exactly as Bright Eyes PBJ says. In replying, Prince Edward did not acknowledge or address the issue of slavery reparations, adding that he was not keeping notes during Mr. Brown's speech, so he was unable to respond to every point raised. And it was just like, they literally sat there and laid out all their, basically begged for money, begged for schooling, begged for all of that stuff, and begged them to, use their diplomatic influence. And literally Edward sat there and be like, he did not even acknowledge it. Never once mentioned it, never, like, literally. I mean, so much so that, Nadine was actually even tweeted about it. It's like, he didn't acknowledge it. He didn't acknowledge or address the issue of slavery reparations raised by Antigua PM. In fact, for some reason, Edward laughed while saying he was not keeping notes, and so not going to give him a complete response. And it was just like, yeah, well, you just basically threw out your cards and felt frustrated. I don't blame him for not even, giving you any respect, which is exactly, I mean, and this is, so funny. Like, I there's a video, actually a couple of them, a squatty, actually, she's not, I shouldn't say she's a squatty. She's a supporter of the Duke, of the Sussexes, but she's not really a squatty. She let that be known very clearly. She's not a squatty, but she posts a lot of, she definitely supports the Sussexes. But so she posted a couple of videos, of Edward and Sophie responding to this, and I went through it and just sort of took down some of what they said. Basically, what I took down is almost all of what they said, not absolutely verbatim, but it says, some of what they said was like, thanks for the warm welcome, but he's not keeping notes, so he couldn't give a complete response. We just saw that, and then he thanked them, because he hadn't been back there for like 10 years, and he brings greetings from Her Majesty, who he said takes immense interest in what goes on in the islands, especially Antigua. All of the people of Antigua and Barbuda, it would be great for them to be part of the Jubilee. And he talked about it being a good year for rebuilding connections and have in-person meetings and face-to-face talk and be able to listen. He talked about, and then he brought up the Commonwealth Games, who, I don't know if anybody's paying attention to the Commonwealth Games, but the Commonwealth Games, he brought up the Commonwealth Games, and that, it would be a great opportunity for people to come together. And he hoped that Antigua and Barbuda would be adequately represented, not just in sports, but he hoped the Prime Minister is, in front of, who's sitting in front of him, that he would be there, or the Ministry of Sports, or the Governor General. And then he went from that and switched to, he's been watching the progress of the Queen's baton. Who knew there was a Queen's baton? The Queen's baton that has been going around the Commonwealth. And he says the response has been wonderful, and some fantastic events and images and pictures that has been coming out. That's what he's been paying attention to. And that it was, it's really nice to see that the celebration of that, and it's something wonderful. And that he was delighted to be there, and he's delighted to share in that, and wish you all the best for the future. And that was all of Prince Edward's speech. That was it. That was it. And it was just like, and I have it's so funny from the video. This was the face of the Prime Minister. And his I guess his deputy or assistant, I don't know who the lady is next to him, it didn't say, but that was their face as Edward was talking. And I was just like, yeah. And I'm happy you got slapped in the face for that stupid thing you just did, because you had all the cards and you just lay prostrate. And this is all of what Edward did. This is all of what Edward said. Never once even coming close to mentioning apology, never coming close to mentioning, reparations, never close to coming to mention, anything close to what the demands were from the Caribbean. And this man just put, I don't even want to know what is being said to him today, because he deserved it. He deserved to have this look. And I just like, when I saw that picture, I'm like, yeah, you deserve that. It is it is so disgraceful, and another thing Edward did is like, he was cracking this joke about, apparently when he was in, there was a hurricane in Barbuda, and Prince Charles was the one that went. And he, for some reason, that he thought it was a big joke to laugh about it, that he was not the one to come to the country in the middle of and he was just like, and everybody's looking at him like, what are you laughing at? And it was just the most uncomfortable, gross, just like, I don't know how it was embarrassing. I was embarrassed for us. Part of me was just like, and then it was embarrassing watching someone from the royal family who was supposed to be this diplomat representing your country. And this is, it was just the most ignorant thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, these people don't have any common sense. And it just, when you think about, in terms of, say, Harry and Meghan and how excellent they are on the world stage, and then you see this level that the royal family has that is so beneath anything that you would think is someone representing a country who's supposed to be a diplomat, who is supposed to be, so-called soft power, and this is who they are. And so it's just like, I'm like, dude, y'all need to get some education, something. Like, I don't even know if he knows what reparations are. Like, I seriously don't even know if he knows what that is. So it just, I am, Terry says somebody probably got to the PM that was 180 degree turn. Yeah. For some, for someone who bows down to royalty, I wouldn't be surprised if you got a call from the royal family. I wouldn't be surprised, because a part of, his, if you go back, and I'm going to post the links to the video, if you go back, he spent quite a bit of time talking about, meeting the queen, and how people aspire to be like her, because what a wonderful person she is. He talks about meeting the prince of Prince Philip, and what an amazing man he is, and how he doesn't think of anyone above one another, like we all the same. I'm like, are you talking about the same people that I've seen and that I've been reading about? But somehow this prime minister had all these wonderful things to say about them. So he was just like buttering them up, thinking that, I guess, that by doing that, they would, basically do what he asked and use their diplomatic clout to help him, because apparently, again, he's the favorite one of the Caribbean. Like, the queen loves them all, but you are special. And I guess he thought by doing that, Edward and Sophie would be like, okay, we will help you. We'll use our diplomatic immunity. And then nothing. Then they were slapped. So it just that was embarrassing, to say the least. Julia, hi Julia Rock, how are you? Julia said, prime example of not listening. Hello. I mean, it wasn't even important to him, and that's how disgusting this all is. Because the fact that he could sit there after this man just laid out, and all the things that's needed in this country, for him to say, you know what, I wasn't even writing it down because, well, it wasn't important enough for me to write it down. So I can't give you an answer because I wasn't writing it down. And you're like, you have a book you have a pen and paper in front of you. And that's the thing. And that's the thing that a lot of people is, I love my people, but especially the older generation, they just don't get that the royal family do not care. They don't care about Black people. The fact that, the prime minister was sitting there and he was like, yes, and we are one, that no matter what our skin is, we are all one. And Edward is sitting there looking at him, nodding, whatever. And it's just like, no, he doesn't think you're the same. He doesn't think you're a human. He doesn't think you're like him. He thinks you're beneath him. The fact that he didn't even think did not consider what you were saying enough to even write it down. It tells you, and the fact that he will just tell you that, and and that should be okay. Your words weren't important to me. I didn't have to write it down, so I can't give you a response. Moving on, let's talk about the Queen's baton that's going around the Commonwealth. So, oh goodness. Cookies and cream said, oh, Petal, I agree with you. The prime minister was an idiot. Edward basically laughed in his face. Sophie had a smirk on hers. Yeah, I mean, to tell you the truth, if someone did something that stupid as what the prime minister did, and coming from the letter that Sophie and Edward received, they must have been breathing a sigh of relief when they heard him talk, because it's kind of like, I would assume they would have expected something in the same place as where that letter was, basically, don't treat us as idiots. And the prime minister just went in there and allowed them to treat him like an idiot. Frankly, he just made an idiot of himself, so it just like, so it's and Wendy says, please don't label all Caribbean islands as highly illiterate. They are well-educated people, self-governed, and some republic. Wendy, I know that, honey. I am from the Caribbean. I know. What I'm saying is there is a high level of illiteracy. I didn't say that all in the Caribbean. I am also from the Caribbean. My family is in the Caribbean, highly intelligent people. And so what I am saying is there's a broad section of the, especially in some islands, there is a high level of illiteracy there. I'm not saying all Caribbean is illiterate. That is not what I said. And if that's how it came across, I truly apologize, because that's not what I meant. I meant is that there is, one of the things that, the letter was saying is that when they left, I think they only built like 2 two schools, I think only two schools that were built, and it even talked about the high level of illiteracy in Antigua. And there are some islands that are the literacy rate is higher, and some that are lower. So yeah, I'm absolutely not saying all Caribbean island has a high rate of illiteracy at all. So I apologize if that's how it came across. That's not what I'm saying. So, but there is a high, generally. So sorry, just to clarify that. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Let's see who else. Joan Garcia, Ella Portman. Oh, I think she's talking to Ella. Sorry, Joan. Yes, the slave mentality where the slave bows down to master. This is exactly what happened. It's definitely the slave mentality. And I am of the opinion there are a lot of, a lot of islands, I think, need younger leaders that are not especially like more mature among us in the Caribbean, who have grown up, basically, whether it's literally or figuratively, bowing to the Queen. And so they're still in that mindset. And I think in order for the Caribbean to really move forward now, and not like this prime minister saying like eventually, we need younger leaders who see clearly what the royal family is, because for so long we were brainwashed into thinking that they were better than us. And so I understand that having that mentality, but we need leaders who, if you're more mature, to have a mindset, a different mindset from that, or younger leaders need to come in with the who are not indoctrinated in royalty, and to be able to lead and move the Caribbean forward, because what we saw with this is so backwards. So for me, I'm just thinking we need a new crop of leaders to move this forward, because this eventually thing, 50 years from now, they'll be still saying eventually, because something else is going to happen why they can't move forward and become a republic. So that eventually thing, it means that is not happening. So let's see. Let's see who else is talking. Oh, I keep always doing this. So yeah. I'm not sure what this is, so I'm gonna leave Dolores and Sylvia to their conversation. So anyway, moving on. Let's see what else is happening. There's this really cool article, which I, after seeing the whole debacle with the Prime Minister of Antigua, there's this incredible article that this gentleman, Jomo Thomas Chambers, he is from St. Vincent and the Grenadines Reparations Committee. And he, I guess, wrote an article about, what that means. And it's called From the Breadfruit News. I was like, oh, that's very interesting. I used to eat breadfruit when I was back home. But I love the name, and it's called Mr. Colonialism Comes to Town. And I feel like, oh, how I wish that the Prime Minister of Antigua has had the same mindset and the same oomph about it, and the same, passion about becoming a republic, about reparations, and about, and so I'm going to read it. I just think it's really incredibly powerful. And so it says, today, Prince Edward, son of the reigning queen, more appropriately named Mr. Colonialism, pay a one-day visit to Urume, the name our ancestors called our homeland, but which was stolen and renamed St. Vincent by colonials. I didn't know that. I was like, oh my gosh, that's something new I learned. Edward and his British entourage should not be feted on our land. Paramount Chief Chatoya turned in his grave. Commander Duvalier cringes, and those ancestors corralled and exiled look on in horror as our neo-colonial leaders lay down the red carpet for the invaders. Principles and sovereignty are not argued about. They are stoutly defended. In expending scarce and precious resources to welcome Edward and Sophie, our leaders have not gotten the message yet. As Calypso Chogdas said in a song, white people laughing at we. Therefore, in defense of our people's honor, all patriots, nationalists, progressives, and reparationists must join in protest and demonstrate their disapproval of the royal visit. To build a proxy necessary to emancipate us from mental slavery and a people-centered consciousness, we must remember not to forget. Jewish leaders teach their history under a broad theme, never forget, never again. We have not learned anything from our history. The African Holocaust has 1,000,000 times more horrific than that suffered by the Jews. The African Holocaust took the lives of countless millions and has gone on for hundreds of years. By independence of 1979, like the rest of the Caribbean, our country was and remains a crime scene. The colonial devastation was enormous. The colonial occupation was extractive. The cultivation was solely intended to benefit the English authorities and plantation owners. Our people were mercilessly exploited. After almost 200 years of occupation, the British built only 2 secondary schools. A large section of our population was functionally illiterate. The colonial overlords never bothered to construct hospitals or clinics. Life expectancy was very low. People suffered and died from treatable illnesses. For these reasons, Edward and his wife Sophie should be reminded that they have stepped into a crime scene at every turn. They must be made to confront the reality that their ancestors are architects of this crime, resulting in rape, murder, theft, and underdevelopment. We must not shake hands and smile with criminals. These colonial visitors should be made uncomfortable. They ought not to have been invited here. Since our neo-colonial leaders welcome them, we the people must make them feel uninvited. We must, in our action, disinvite them with our protests. We cannot and must not accept their smug expression of regret for the aggressive conquest, exile, slavery, and colonialism. If there is no genuine apology and commitment to repair, we must treat them with scorn and ridicule. Only the people can save the people. It is well established that power concedes nothing without demand. Never did and never will. Therefore, it is our responsibility to wrest what is rightfully ours from those who either stole from us or deny us access to what we need to survive, develop, and strive. And this is why the struggle for reparation is so vitally important. This visit by Edward and Sophie must be the last of its kind to our country. They must shudder at the thought of returning to these shores until they accede to our just demands to pay reparation for their brutal crimes against indigenous and African peoples. And I am like, yes. Oh, how I wish that the Prime Minister of Antigua had this attitude. How different this whole thing, that whole nonsense would have been. How different. How I wish that all the leaders of the Caribbean had this attitude. It seems only Grenada was like, no, only they got the message. It's like, no, you can't come. We are not going to pay for you to come here for 8 hours and then our citizens have to pay for you. No, this is a crime scene. You're not going to come here and and eat our food and dance to our music and all of that and all it's all about celebrating a jubilee while you're not paying reparations. No, you're not welcome here. How I wish the leaders would have had this attitude. Because like he said, they needed to have felt uncomfortable. Nowhere should they be out there playing steel bands and beating drums and, going and swimming and, and dancing to me. Nowhere should they be doing that stuff. Everywhere. I mean, again, and I had never thought of it this way until I heard it a few days ago. I read it that, yes, this is a crime scene. When someone get that in their mind that this is a crime scene, you're not going to go partying at a crime scene. And they needed to have felt uncomfortable. And the fact that this prime minister decided to not protest, he silenced the voices of his people with the dumb idea of, oh, we're just going to sit here and have a conversation and then you're going to take, use your influence to help us nonsense. When has the royal family ever responded to that? I mean, you look at, again, I always bring up Virginia Giuffre-Roberts. The only time the royal family act is when they felt threatened. And she made her demand and gave them a timetable where they need to pay her the over $12 million. And you know what? They came up with it. Because if they didn't, she was going to embarrass and humiliate them. And that is what they respond to. And the fact that this prime minister didn't get that, and he's like, oh, we don't want to embarrass you. I'm like, that is the thing you needed to do. You needed to protest. You needed to be on the street. You needed to embarrass them. You needed to make them feel uncomfortable every step of the way, because then again, this is a crime scene. And so that is the thing that he needed to do, and they didn't do it. And so here we are with this, like, Edward laughing in your face. And I just, I felt so embarrassed. It took me a while for me to digest this whole mess. It's just like, oh my gosh. So anyway, let's see. I'm just talking. Let's see what you guys are saying. Carol says, if or when a country they do not want the Queen as their lead, they also need to leave the Commonwealth. I mean, we talked about the Commonwealth. That I don't even understand why people are part of the. Like, again, I don't see what the purpose of it is. I don't see, at least the way it is structured now. I don't see what the purpose of it is. So yeah. Because it's like you leave, but the Queen is the head of the Commonwealth, and then she, when she passes on, the corrupt Prince Charles that she strong-armed, the leaders to vote for, he become, and it's just like, well, you left, you leave, have your own thing, let's see who else is talking. Carol. Hi, Carol. Carol says, Edward and Sophie are on vacation, period. They aren't lifting a finger to help anybody. And that's the thing. That is exactly the thing, Carol. Because for them to not, again, there was a tour a few weeks ago. So were they not paying attention to what Kate and William were doing on the tour? That this wasn't a tour? They weren't prepared to come and talk to anybody about, apology, reparations, owning up to what their ancestors did. They weren't prepared to do any of those things. So weren't they paying attention to what happened there? So if they weren't prepared and they are the futures, why do you think Edward would, what would you expect Edward and Sophie to do? A little research. What has Edward especially done? Like, I don't even see Edward on, engagements. Maybe he does and the press just doesn't cover it, whatever. I don't think I've ever seen one other than when he's wearing his fake military uniform and his chocolate medals at one of those, remembrance things. That's the only time I really ever see Edward. What has Edward done for you to think that he is going to use diplomat? I was just like, are you just not paying attention? You didn't know research on these people at all for you to expect that that's what he would do? Kate Herrera, didn't Edward fail out of the military? Yes, he did. I think he was in the military. I don't know. What is it, like a week? I think between 1 and 4 weeks or something like that. It was too hard and then he left. Yeah. But somehow you see pictures of Edward when there are these memorial things where the royal family come in their fake uniforms, especially the ones that never served, in their fake uniform and all their Halloween costumes, and then Edward, especially with his chocolate medals, and you're like, what are these medals for? Edward, he failed out of the military. He didn't even have a chance to fail out. He left after, a few, I think it's between 1 and 4 weeks. I don't remember what it is. So yeah, it's just like, you would think they would do their research. Robert, hi Robert. Robert says one strategy needs to adjust. One's strategy needs to adjust once you realize that the Windsors are ruthless. I mean, hello. Especially if you have the Queen as your head of state, you should know the Windsors backwards and forwards. You should know everything about them, every way that they operate. And for you to go into a meeting with that blame, help us, use your diplomatic, your diplomatic clout to help us. I mean, that is like, you did no homework. You did no research on these people. The Queen is your head of state. You should know these people backwards and forwards. And the fact that you have met the Queen and you have met Prince Philip and you are coming with this and you are like, you have to be completely blind and living in another planet for you to not realize this is exactly how they would react. It's just, I'm like, I don't understand it. Cynthia disagrees with me. Cynthia, that's fine. Let's see. Cynthia says, Petal, don't be fooled. The Prime Minister knows exactly what he's doing. I know exactly how you feel about this. Yes, we need younger leaders. The older folks tend to pay homage to these people. I sure hope he knows what he's doing. Because that did not impress me at all, that he knew what he was doing. So I hope you're right, Cynthia. I really, really do hope you're right. That this is a ploy, or, I mean, I don't know what, judging from the look of his face, when Edward was saying the nonsense he was saying and talking about batons and the Commonwealth Games and all that stuff, I don't know. But I hope you're right. I sure hope that he has some kind of strategy, and that wasn't what he was banking on, thinking that Edward is going to help him to get reparations. I mean, when I saw that, I'm like, dude, you're not even going to get respect. Forget about reparations and apology. I mean, hello. It's like you put yourself in that position and throw out your advantage. Don't expect somebody to respect you. So, Trish Nelly says it's 2022. It's time to move on from bowing and cursing. Hello. That one should have gone out with the Stone Ages. I can't believe people are still doing this nonsense. I literally can't believe it. Mary Man, hi Mary. Mary says, none but ourselves can free our mind. Exactly. It's like, we have got to understand, like, this is the year 2022. We can't be bowing to especially people with the history of the royal family. It's just like, that is a no. That is a no. I mean, it's like, we can't accept that from ourselves, or we can't accept, we shouldn't accept that from people around us. Like, no, All the Impossible says, let's all first free ourselves from mental slavery. And that is the thing. That is the thing. It's like that mental slavery, like, we're free people, but we're still enslaved, and we still have the mentality of they are better than us. Therefore, we have to, they have to, we have to bow down to them. So it just, that mental slavery, man, we got to free ourselves. Got to go back and listen to, let's see, who else is talking? CSC says, because the monarchy thinks low of the Commonwealth, the Commonwealth, can see what the monarchy was doing to them. And, one of the things, actually, that letter that we read from the Reparations Commission, that was one of the things that it says, that the monarchy, that they think of us, or at least the British think of the Caribbean as, what does it say? I can't remember the exact words they use, but like we are the lowest of the low, basically, and of the Commonwealth. And that's how they see us. I mean, for you to know exactly what's happening, to know the calls for reparations, to know the rebukes, to know all of the things that have been happening, to know the protests was going on, and for you to still come to Caribbean islands not prepared, not, with basically you come empty-handed, and even worse, with that horrible photo of, of yourself, autograph photo of yourself, and then not even thinking and leaving these islands with the bill, because they have to pick up your bill. And it just, like, they're really they don't think anything of us. They don't think, definitely don't think highly of us at all. We are, they feel perfectly fine to come and do this. You don't do this to people you respect. You don't do this to people you value. You don't do that to people who you think are worthy of any kind of consideration. You don't treat people like that. You would only do that when you don't consider them as people. Like that letter said at the end, why can't you apologize? Do you think we're subhumans? Yes, that's the answer, is yes. That's exactly how they see us. They don't see Black people, wherever you're from, they don't see us as people. So the answer is that is exactly how they see us. So yeah. Hi, Miss Y Senior. Miss Y Senior says, I was taught you only bow to the Lord your God. Amen to that. Amen to that. I wish that was how many were taught. So yeah, it's let's see, Joan. Let's see what Joan says. In the US, ads, education, media, social media, agency, etc., all broadcast negative images of people of color 24/7. Yes. That was one of the things with the algorithms for oppression. Yeah. Especially online, and that was one of the things that the Sussexes, they honored Dr. Safia Noble, because she wrote that book, Algorithms of Oppression, especially online. It's basically geared to, broadcasting negative images of, think of a negative word, and you check the images, the majority of people you will find there are Black and brown people. And, when that book came out, they have cleaned up, especially, for example, bad hairstyle for work and all that stuff. They cleaned that up a bit, but it's still, some of it is still there. But, there are so many other ways that they portray Black and brown people as, in a negative light. So, yes. Pedal there on vacation, all expense paid by the Caribbean people. Yes, that is absolutely true. And that's why Grenada said no. Grenada said flat, and that was one of the big reasons. Apart from that, they were also planning to protest. And it's so funny, like, in my brain, when I heard Grenada was on the list of places they were going to go, I didn't think Grenada would be the one to really stand up and be like, oh no, you can't come, and we're not going to pay all that money for you to come here. One, you're coming for 8 hours, and then drop that bill on our very poor citizens. That was what they said. And so the governor general was like, no, we can't do that. And that's why this article in the breadfruit article was so poignant. It's like, no, you don't shake hands with criminals. You don't you don't invite them. And if the government invite them, then the people protest. And all of those things, that's one of the things I'm so upset with Antigua, is that they took that away from the people. The ability to go out there and protest and let their voices be heard. That was needed. They needed to feel uncomfortable. They needed to, as the article said, understand that you are on a crime scene. You're not here to be playing steel drums. You're not here to be dressed up and pouring water on, ridiculous. You're not here for any of those things. You're not here for our people. And then, give basically them free reign to have their entertainment and their citizens come and entertaining to people whose descendants enslaved their people. They should feel uncomfortable. Oh, goodness. Let's see. Black Queen says, the caucasity of the Neanderthals. I want to list facts on how they are better than us. If it is up to me, all the bowing and scraping knee would be straight as an arrow. Yes. I mean, I don't even know how it's. Whenever I think about the British royal family, it's just like, y'all are not even British. Your last name is not even Windsor. How is it that these people got to this position where people think that they are better? It's like, you're not British. You're not Windsor. I mean, it's just like, I don't get it. It's like a puzzle to me how they are where they are, or at least where they think they are. I don't understand it. Prudence says, hi, Pedal and Squatties. The man just likey. See, that's how they sell out them own people. Because of greed, one love. And, I don't understand what licky. Is that likey or licky? I don't understand. I'm so sorry. But I understand the rest. It's how they sell out their own people. Yeah, it's what he did. He sold out his people to fall prostrate before a queen. This is basically what he did. That is exactly what he did. Who knows? I don't know. And the thing about it is, like, the people that gets who suffer the most are, obviously the poor. And and he is the prime minister, so he's not going to feel the brunt of this. It's the people that he sold out, the people that he let down, that's going to feel the brunt of it. He is in power. He gets, I guess, government housing, government everything for probably the rest of his life, and the people that he just let down are the ones that's going to suffer for his nonsense. So I'm just, so let's see. Mary says, to be fair, the prime minister appeared to be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Yeah, it's like total double speak. It's like, yeah, we're gonna kick the queen out, but not too much. And it's just like, yeah, it's just we need decision makers, people who can make decisions. We need young people, younger generation of people who get it, who understand, and is not going to take the royal family's nonsense. That's what we need. We can't have people around, because then again, you're going to wait for the next 50 years, and this is going to still be an issue the next 50 years. So it's just like that one day thing, and eventually it'll happen nonsense. It's like, no, that means you're never going to do this. So yeah, We need people who are really committed to, who are really committed, understand what the thing is, and have the courage to move the country forward. And that is what's going to move the Caribbean forward. Or even if it's an older person, someone with that mentality, because the former the prime minister of Jamaica just gave up his privy council role so that he can help work with the government to get their country to be a republic, which again is why I am side-eyeing Andrew Holness, the prime minister of Jamaica, who still has not given up his role, his appointment to the Queen's Privy Council. The former prime minister just gave up his. And that is the thing that I always side-eye Andrew Holness for, is that he is on the Queen's Privy Council. How are you going to do that when how are you going to get your country to be a republic when you still have strings attached to the royal family? So we'll see. And I'm still keeping my fingers crossed. I still am a little iffy with Andrew Holness, but hopefully they move forward. Let's move on. Okay, so I don't know if you guys see it. Moving away from that mess of royal, shameless, charmless, offensive nonsense. I don't know if you got, we know, like a few days ago, obviously at the Invictus, Prince Harry gave this interview with Hoda. We talked about the interview here, and one of the things that Harry talked about, that that he went back to the UK to visit the Queen, and because one of the things that, that he was checking on is to make sure that the Queen is protected and that she has the right people around her. And then we know that the press has gone basically to the point where they're ready to throw Meghan and Harry off of a balcony. That's how unhinged they became. And so I think the last episode or a couple of episodes ago, I can't remember when I did it, but I talked about the fact that the press was going overboard with this nonsense that, attacking Harry for being concerned about his own grandmother's security, when 2 months ago, the Telegraph, they sounded the alarm on that. They sounded the alarm, like, who's taking care of the Queen? Who's watching out for her? Because she's basically unkempt. And, we saw pictures of her with her coat buttoned in all the wrong places and all that craziness. So we saw that. And so today, Omid Scobie, who, by the way, has this new royal executive editor job with Yahoo. So he's going to be their royal reporter and editor. And so Scobie wrote this article today about that incident. And, it's so good because, we're used to royal reporters. They know the truth, and they, either don't say the truth or sort of make the truth or make it kind of like, sort of like make it sweet so that nobody in the royal family or nobody in the royal household looks bad. And so it's very refreshing to see Omid. And I think he is getting to this point of being bluntly honest and not caring. He doesn't really work for a UK, press. So, now he's getting to that place. But he wrote this article today, his first article. And he says the reality, about that whole situation of, the press going after Harry. And he said the reality is, since the passing of Prince Philip 1 year ago, the Queen is living by herself. While Prince Charles and the Cambridges stop by for visits, the people surrounding the monarch on a daily basis, aides, courtiers, household staff, responsible for every aspect of her life, are all employees of the royal institution. And it's at the hands of these same people that Harry experienced some of his darkest and most distressing moments as the working member of the firm. And this is not that I think this is major news. I think we've all known this, but it's, I'm glad he said this because, you always think, there are so many people in the palaces, whatever. And I'm glad he is pointing out the fact that this is a 96-year-old woman living by herself. And the only people that are around her every day are aides, courtiers, and household staff. Her family are not living with her. Charles and the Cambridge and stuff, they stop by. But Charles doesn't, I think most of his time, a lot of times he's, in High Grove, whatever that place is. The Cambridges are, whether they're Kensington Palace or they're in their country, Alma Hall, but the Queen is in Windsor and she's by herself. And yes, Andrew lives, somewhere in the property, in another part of Windsor. He has a home there and stuff. But again, the people who are around her on a daily basis are aides and courtiers. And so the fact that, and he's also saying, like, these are the same people that made Harry and Meghan's life hell to the point where Meghan wanted to kill herself. So yeah, I could see why Harry is, despite of what I think about Queen Betty, it's very reasonable that Harry would be concerned about these people being around a 96-year-old. And not only that, Angela Kelly wrote this, updating her book, talking about, doing the Queen's hair and how the Queen basically abused her into drinking. And one thing we know about the royal family is when they do something, they always accuse someone of doing that. We've seen what they've done with Meghan. They've done the same thing to Meghan. And who knows what the truth is with that situation. Let's put this out. And the article goes on to say, when I was interviewing sources for Finding Freedom in 2020, I remember how my jaw dropped when a friend of the couple gave me a play-by-play account of how the Queen's private secretary, Edward Young, went out of his way to prevent the couple from visiting the monarch in Sandringham on the one of the only family members the Sussexes felt comfortable talking to at the time, ahead of their announcement to step away from royal life. It appears that as hard as Harry tried to arrange the time, his team was informed that the monarch was busy all week. The Queen, despite having been the one to invite her grandson, was told by Young that the once available diary dates were no longer free. And Harry talked about this in the Oprah Winfrey interview. And that because they were saying, oh, he blindsided the Queen, and all of a sudden that's the narrative Edward Young and his minions gave to the press, and whomever it is that leaked that information to the press, and that Harry blindsided the Queen. And Harry talked about it's like, no, the fact that I would never do that to my grandmother. But they blocked him. Him and Meghan talked about, the Queen invited them, and every time they tried to, they came back from the vacation from Canada, every time they, tried to set up the time with her, they were blocked. And I'm glad Ahmed he's naming names and saying, it's like, look, this man, this is what they were doing. And so I am like, good. And then he also talked about Angela Kelly. We've talked about Angela Kelly before, and very AK-47. She is a female thug, this woman. Scobie says, it is also the Queen's right-hand woman and dresser. Yeah, that one who claimed that the Queen was barking at her while she to drink. Angela Kelly, who multiple sources told me made it almost impossible for Meghan to have a necessary hair trial with her chosen wedding tiara, even standing up the Duchess-to-be and her hairstylist, who had flown in especially at a pre-scheduled fitting. Harry sources said it felt it was cruel attempt to put his partner in her place. And again, these are the people that are around the Queen. And even to the point where the Queen, for her birthday, went to, Sandringham? Yeah, Sandringham. And the Daily, and that was after Harry said what he said in the interview. The Daily Mail or somebody, someone posted a screenshot of it, and I don't remember. It probably was the Daily Mail. I don't remember who it was. but they were very pointed to include that Angela Kelly was with the Queen. So Harry is being arrogant in attacking whomever it is that is around the Queen and saying that he is concerned. So they were very pointed to, it's like, no, the Queen is perfectly fine. Angela Kelly is with her. Yet this is the same Angela Kelly again who wrote in her book, updated her book about the Queen abusing her. So yeah. The article goes on to say, it says, time and time again, we hear how inside the institution of the monarchy is an environment where mental health and well-being is not prioritized. A place where, regardless of your status, the needs of the crown will always come ahead of personal needs of the individual family members. It's the institution, Harry feels, failed in its duty to protect him and his brood. And if you all remember, if you all have been paying attention to Queen Betty, I don't know if anybody really pays attention to her, but I remember with COVID, with this woman having COVID, and not long after her having COVID, the government put out this thing, was like, even I guess even if you have COVID, look at the Queen just gets on with it. And the Queen, not long after, when they send this woman out to do this, this engagement, and then not long after that, so they did this whole big promotion thing to get people, even if you've had COVID, then you should be out working and you should be out doing, and use the Queen as an example. And then obviously, I think what was the next week, the Queen had to start canceling things. This woman is 96 years old, or 95, whatever she was. She should not have been put in a situation where she is going to be the face of people with COVID who's just getting on with things and going back to work. She should not have been at any engagement. She should not be having people come, to this woman is not, again, 96 years old. And no, whatever you think of the Queen, whether you like her, appreciate her, or whatever, she is an elderly lady. And the fact, again, is how Harry feels about this, and what Kobe is saying, that this is an environment that they do not prioritize people's well-being. They don't prioritize your mental health. And if you've paid attention to what the royal family does, or the monarchy does, is they use the Queen in everything. They want, because she's the most popular face and the most popular name. So they want her out there, no matter whether she's feeling sick and whatever her feeling. They don't matter what your status is. They want to use you to promote the monarchy. And this is what I believe they were doing, why they have this 96-year-old woman doing engagements. This is, for me, this is abusive. This is absolutely abusive and should not. And that is why, again, 2 months ago, the Telegraph sounded the alarm as to who is taking care of the Queen. That's why they saw it. The Telegraph, who is a glorified tabloid, they're the first one that sounded the alarm on that. And so I am glad Scobie is calling this out and saying Harry has every right. He has every right to do this. So anyways, before we actually even get to this, I don't know what you guys are thinking about this. So let's see what y'all thinking. Let's see. Joyce. Oh, I think Joyce is still in the tours. Joyce, let's see what Joyce says. Let's remove this for a second. Joyce says they cannot cancel the 3 tours because this is the way they have to show the British people they are so-called working. The British people pay for those vacations that they go on. And I don't understand. I don't understand the British people's thinking in this. It's not like it's a secret that the royal family doesn't do anything. Their work, so-called work, is not work. That whatever it is that they're doing is making, there's a very little importance, or it has very little effect in people's lives. This is not news, and I don't think it is news to anybody. And so I don't understand why there isn't protest. And I think in a lot of ways, there are people that really love being lied to. They like the fairy tale. They like the gossip of the whole thing. And for them, that's enough. And that their tax dollars is well spent if they can live in this fantasy of believing that these people are better than them, and that they are this, they hold them up to this standard where, they are the ideal family, when everybody knows it's a lie. And it's like you're paying people to just lie to you. And so while I used to be, like, what's the matter with you? It's like, some people just like being lied to, so it's what it is. I just recetas, oh, I love this. Recetas, cositas. Cositas. She says the Saxe-Coburg Gothas, Princess Diana was more English than all of them put together. Yeah, they're German. They're not English. They changed their name at, what was it, World War I or II, when they didn't want to be connected to Hitler, so they changed the name to Windsor. Yeah, they're, and it's so funny because they still practice their German ways. The way how they celebrate Christmas, they do German Christmas. It's not like, their customs are German, so it's just like, but the English claim them, so hey, who am I to say anything? Super Queen says no human being should bow to another. Hello, no human being should be bowing to another human being. Yeah, again, we need to relieve ourselves of that mental slavery. And so yeah, synthesis pedal, that's a Jamaican slang. Licky, meaning greedy. Oh, thank you, Cynthia. I'd never heard of that one. I think I'm gonna adopt that. Is it like licky or likey? So I don't know. Is it licky or likey? Oh, it's patois. Okay, Black Bean says it's in patois means greedy. Okay, thank you. Except anything at any cost. Yes. Thank you. Let's see. Reba. Hi, Reba. Reba says the royal family sit on our wealth, not their own. Yeah. They have used our people to gain wealth all over the world by separating us into different groups. We are all Black, originally from Africa, wherever we are. Exactly. And that is why we should not be begging the royal family or the British for anything. We should be demanding our property back. You don't beg thieves to bring you back what is rightfully yours. You demand your property back, and you do whatever you need to do to get your property back. You don't go falling prostrate before them, begging them to return your wealth. They stole it. They're thieves, and they need to understand that they are thieves. And they need to, as that article says, feel uncomfortable around you. They should not be sitting there smiling and laughing and dancing to, and taking advantage of your, culture and all of that stuff, and playing your music and being all comfortable, and then leave you with a bill and go back home. They should never, ever, ever be in that position. So yeah, it just, again, begging people who stole from you, who would do that? Who would go begging someone? It's like, I know you stole my car, but can you please give it back to me? Please, I beg. But can you, it's like, who does that? You take that person to court and demand your property back, or whatever you need to do to get your car back. You don't go begging them. Unbelievable. Let's see. There is no excuse for the Prime Minister. Thank you, Cookie and Cream. If the unroyal family can mistreat their own family member of color, they wouldn't hesitate to mistreat people of color in the Commonwealth countries. Hello. That's all you need to know. Just look at how they treat Black people. Look at how they treat Meghan in their own family. Look at how they treat the Black people in the UK. Look at the Windrush generation. Look at the deportations. Look at all of those things. That's all you need to know. It's like, you falling prostrate before them. You think they're going to respect you to give you, it's like, no. So, yeah. Unbelievable. Let's see. Angela. Hi, Angela. Angela says there's no excuse for the prime minister. Oh, wait. I just read that. Sorry. sorry. Let's see. Adrian. Let's see what Adrian is saying. There's people called African Americans, never been to Africa, born in America, but the label continues. Well, yeah. Yeah. Yes. Mary says, I'm glad Oman is not surrendering to the tabloid threats, not to report the news as opposed to joining them to create news. And this is so important because I don't know if you guys are, how many of you are on Twitter, but the tabloid press has targeted Oman because Oman is always reported very fairly for the Sussexes and the Cambridges, actually to the whole royal family. Just report very neutral, very fair. And the tabloid press and reporters in the tabloid press, especially Dan Wooten, Richard Eden, Pierce Morgan, and some others, have literally been targeting Omid. They would literally, stalk his emails and be throwing barbs at him all the time. The Daily Mail is the same way. They're always calling him and mocking him, calling him Meghan's friend, so basically to discredit him as a reporter. And it would be tempting for anybody to be able to cave. And they really go after him. And even the Kensington Palace, he had said that someone at Kensington Palace had said to him, like, whose side are you on? And so basically with Kensington Palace, if you're not on their side, they will exclude you. They will, you don't expect to get anything from them, or if you ask for any question, don't expect to get anything, because they basically give exclusives to the people who cover them favorably. And since Omid is not nasty to the Sussexes, he is on the outs. And so it'd be tempting for any, reporter to, play the game. And so I'm glad to see Scobie. And one of the things that I think was so important, because I remember when I was first, getting into the royal family, and I used to get on his case, like, why don't you speak up? I mean, you are a biracial person. Why don't you speak up and speak out against the racism and stuff? And slowly, and and a lot of squaddies were on him about that. And I just saw it's great that we've watched the progress of him to get more and more and more confident in speaking out. And now he is really speaking out. And I think one of the things that has helped him is now you see him retweeting articles from Nadine White, and I quote Nadine White a lot, and use her articles a lot because she, again, is the race reporter for the Independent. He has connected with Dr. Shola, and so they and different Black and brown people in the media in the UK. And I think, and at least that what I think, it's given him the courage, more and more courage, to speak out, about things, and especially race. And he's been reporting a lot on what's going on with the tour, and you really in podcasts and in articles, really recovering the what's been going on, the lack of everything, the charmlessness, and just the ridiculousness of the tours. And so he's been really doing a great job, so I commend him. And I remember when there was the fear to address these very controversial, they say, topics. So I think so it's good to see Omid grow in this area and not be intimidated by not be intimidated by the tabloid press. And B10 said they keep trying to intimidating tactics. Yeah, they are. They definitely do it. I mean, especially Richard Eden. He just just about every, time you hear things like, he would stalk Omid. And I had to literally block him because I was like, dude, Omid's not into you. And then I realized a lot of times he would do it for clout. And so I blocked him. So apparently he's still doing that because I saw a squatty, mention something like that today. And so he's still doing it apparently. So amazing. Let's see. Let's see who's saying stuff. Adrian says, I'm so sick of them using Prince Philip's death, the Queen age, to make the point. All of us will be there one day, but whatever happened between Elizabeth and her children is being exposed now. Yeah, exactly. I mean, with a lot of things with the Queen, it's like, you notice they use her as proxy. The Daily Mail want to vent at someone. They're like, the Queen is mad. And it's like, the Queen, you have no idea how the Queen is doing. You don't have any idea what the Queen thinks, but their palace allowed them to use her, to vent their rage through the Queen, apparently. And, if you really cared about the Queen, the palace would have put a stop to that nonsense a long time ago. But they allowed the press to use her name in this way. And so it's just like, again, they don't care. Nafisa, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate your support. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Oh, and I always forget, please subscribe to our channel. Like and share. Like this episode, even if you don't like it anyway, because you're here. Click the like button, please, and share so that help us to build a bigger community. So let's see who else is chatting. Hi, Jelaine. Jelaine says, Harry will always prevail. He has the truth on his side. I am not worried about them. Yeah, the truth is, Harry's a truth teller. That's who he is. He's like, he cannot hide his feelings. And I think that is a thing that makes the royal family nervous and scared, because they know, they operate in secret. They operate in that, dark spaces, and a lot of it is unseemly and corrupt. And they are afraid of Harry because they know. And, I am not, I don't think it's an offhand comment when he was talking about being there. Some people thought like, oh, maybe he's just was a throwaway statement. It's like, I'm just there to make sure my grandmother is okay. No, I think Harry knew exactly what he was saying. And I knew, and I believe he wanted someone or someones to know that he knows what's going on, so if nothing else, what that did and what it has done is now there's a spotlight on it. So if anybody was doing anything to the Queen that is not right, they now are on they now are on watch. They know that they're being watched. So if anything was, I'm not saying anything did, because there's no evidence other than what we saw, with her looking unkept. So that whomever it is, if something is not right, then they know that the world is watching, because nobody, whether it's a queen or not, nobody wants to know that an elderly person is not being taken care of, or that something unseemly is happening, they're being abused in any way. Nobody wants to know. Nobody would tolerate that, and definitely not tolerate that if it's the Queen. So yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Lane. I appreciate it. Thank you. Let's see. Black Queen says, these people are really the lowest form of humanity. Sad that decent people have to coexist on the same planet with them and watch them go unpunished. And, there'll always be, again, we're not one-dimensional. There'll always be good and bad in this world. And sometimes good people do bad things and bad people do good things sometimes. And so, but it is, a lot of times it is unfair when people literally decide to do evil and yet they go unpunished. So it is, I totally get you on that, Black Queen. Yes, absolutely. Let's see. Hi Legs, how are you? Legs says, doesn't Angela Kelly have an NDA? How was she able to talk about the palace business? See, Baltimore opened the door with Jason Knopf. Yeah, to my understanding, that every person that works at the palaces does have an NDA. Apparently, she said that the Queen gave her permission to write this book. That is in question for me, whether the Queen, maybe she did. Apparently they are great friends, and that's what the tabloid said, that they are great friends, or in other press, that's what they said, that they're great friends, and that she's one of the Queen's most trusted aide and all of that stuff. Who knows if any of that is true? What also could have happened is she got permission from the institution, and not necessarily the Queen, to write it. I don't know necessarily that the Queen, especially the latest update where she talks about the Queen yelling at her so much about her hair that she has to drink, which basically makes the Queen a bully. I don't necessarily know that the Queen would approve of that being in a book, if that is the truth. I wouldn't assume that the Queen, is like, with somebody who is so careful about how she's presented in the world. I don't think, and I don't know that the Queen would appreciate that being in a book, for the world to, have that impression of her as a bully. So that makes me question whether it's the Queen that gave her permission to write that book, or it's the institution that gave her permission. And as Scobie was, I don't actually know if I read that part, but in the article, that article that I read, all of this is in the description of this video. The links are all there. You can go back and read it. But one of the things it talks about, it says the staff that is around the Queen, the staff that takes care of the royal family, don't work for the royal family. They work for the institution. That is the institution that Harry and Meghan hate. That's, the men and women in gray that Princess Diana talked about. Them, the staff that takes care of the royal family, that's who they work for. They don't work for the royal family. So that's why Harry is like, yeah, these people have their own agendas. That's part of the article as well. Their agenda is not, to take care of the royal family. So it's to take care of the institution. So yeah, again, I don't know that the Queen would want that, even if it was true. Again, I don't know, but I don't know that. Yeah, she would want that in. I don't know, and why would she want that in a book? Why would she say yes for that being in a book? So yeah, that gives me pause. Joy says, well, the staff have blocked them again, just in case Harry wanted to see his grandmother after Invictus game. Ship the Queen off to Sandringham. Let's see how long the Queen stays there. It's always, whenever I hear she goes to Sandringham, I mean, again, she could have just said, I'm going to Sandringham, because Sandringham, and stay at the lodge that Prince Philip, that's where he used to live before COVID. And who knows? But it always makes me, go, whenever they said, oh, she wants to go and spend time with, in Philip's lodge, to, basically be there, and they're painted as this romantic thing, and it always gives me pause that she'd go there. But I don't know, maybe she just wants to go there, but it's like, are they just hiding her away? Because it's like, it definitely gives you pause. And they were saying that the Cambridges and stuff were going to be there for her birthday and all of that stuff. And it's very interesting that nobody has talked about that birthday that she was supposed to celebrate at Sandringham, at that lodge. You would think somebody would say something, and I haven't heard, or maybe I just hadn't paid attention, but I hadn't heard anything about the Cambridges being out there, celebrating with her. It just seems that she's alone, and Angela Kelly apparently is there with her, and it's just like, that is, for me, is scary, especially with a 96-year-old. So Harry is, quite right again in being concerned about that. uh Vetty says, Petal, these people do not regard Black people as humans. They see us like characters in a Tarzan movie, carrying their load, or or as carnivores. Yes, exactly. They don't. They do not see us as human. And and it's a hard thing to accept, that a human being doesn't see you as a human, but it's the fact. They don't. They do not. So, um, Lisa says, does Angela Kelly still work for Liz? Yes, she does. She still works for Lizzie. She still does work for her. So, I mean, I don't know if what Harry, I'm sure he would want to fire her, but I don't know that she, who knows? I mean, again, she doesn't work for the Queen. She works for the institution. So, and it's so funny because I was thinking about this today. I was like, I am sure Prince Harry is like, if there is a way I could steal my grandmother away from there, I would steal my grandmother away from there. He has that because he loves her. I mean, no matter what I think about her, or, other people think about her, he loves her. And I'm sure part of him feels like if she wasn't the head of state, I would get my grandmother far away from that place. And I frankly could not blame him. I can't blame him. So yeah. Kathy says, hope she emerges from Sandringham in one piece. Seems like she's being tucked away. It sure does look like that. It sure does look like that because, again, we haven't heard anything about that supposed party that was going to happen. So, yeah, let's get you away from Windsor so Harry and Meghan can't come find you. So, let's see. Dolores says, Harry has to make an appointment to see his grandmother. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? To see his own grandmother. And her private secretary can block that. And, and not only he has so much control that he can tell the Queen what appointment she can't have. Because he's the one that told her that, no, that's not open. You can't meet your grandson. I'm like, are you serious? And that's the thing, that if you pay attention to the royal family, they don't necessarily have any power per se. The power is in the institution. And for me, looking at the people that they're, and just the fact that when someone posted this thing with it was in an interview or something, I heard it. I don't remember where I saw this, but apparently when Harry did his interview, one of the tabloids went to the prime minister to talk to him about it, and his thing was like, well, he doesn't even live here. What does he care, or something like that. And my thing is, why would they go to the prime minister? What is the prime minister isn't at the royal, he's not in the royal institution. Why would you go to the prime minister for something Harry said about his grandmother? And if you've been paying attention to how many people that are employed by, whether it's Prince Charles, especially Prince William, who are part of the British government. And when I'm looking at this, is like that monarchy, that for me, that monarchy is run by the British government. And the British government, and whenever you hear it's like, oh, the Queen is appointing this person and this person, is one of the things that always comes along with it is that she got permission from the prime minister, or this was the suggestion of the prime minister. And for me, when I'm looking at them, is what I'm seeing is that whole thing is run by the British government. The royal family, the family part of that thing, they don't have any power. They are basically told what to do by the institution. And for me, when I'm looking at that, is like, what it looks like to me is that institution is run by the British government. And that's the only way for me to make sense of why, because Harry is talking about security for his grandmother. You would think to go ask the prime minister about it. What, if he doesn't have anything to do with the institution, why would you even think to go ask the prime minister? And so that's what makes like, because I've always suspected that the British government, and now that for me is like, definitely give. I mean, again, I could be very wrong, but that for me is like, give me pause. So let's see. Good night, Kate. It's like, I gotta go. It's 8:45. We are gonna wrap up very soon. We're wrapping up shortly. Let's see, couple of more. Patricia says many countries in Europe had black rulers that was never mentioned. There were black rulers in England or Russia or Spain, and many more, but Europeans don't talk about. Many countries in Europe had black rulers that was never mentioned. They were black rulers in England. I'm not okay. So they're black. There were many black rulers but that they never mentioned that they were black rulers in Russia, Spain. I'm not sure I understand. I'm sorry. Maybe my brain is not working at the moment. I'm not sure I understand. I understand that there were many black rulers in England, in Europe, and they weren't talked about. They weren't, or is it that they would just never mention that they were black? Explain, Patricia. Explain. I'm so sorry. I'm not understanding. So explain. Thanks. Rosita says she's quite isolated out there. I guess the men in gray suits are controlling her. Could be. I mean, she may have had a party and we just didn't know, but who knows? It's just quite interesting. Bright Eye says, remember Charles and Andrew got rid of her trusted secretary and installed this guy, yes, in his place under much protest by Lizzie. Yeah. And she, again, Queen Betty don't have any power. She doesn't. I mean, for me, Charles has been the king for a long time. One of the things I always remember Harry saying in was it the Oprah interview that he said that they basically attacking them because they're afraid that the truth will come out. And I always wondered what that truth was. And for me, if I be surprised to learn that Queen Betty has not been queen for years and that Charles has been the one controlling all this? No, I wouldn't. It wouldn't be a surprise, And yes, this was one of the things that I forgot his name, her very trusted. And actually, people are now saying that things would not have gotten this bad, especially with the Sussexes, if that guy was still in place and not this guy. So yeah. And let's see. One more. Carolyn says, I'm wondering if they would allow Harry, Meghan, and the kids to visit her in the future. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they visit her during the Jubilee. No, I don't think they're going to be on any balcony or anything like that. I know one of the things Harry said is like he would love to visit in a private capacity. So I wouldn't expect anything public if they do it. I honestly, for me, I'm like, please stay away. Go someplace else. Go to Africa, do something. Don't go to the UK. But if they choose to do that, they know what's best for their family. And I wouldn't be surprised. Harry said, if they get their security stuff fixed, then maybe that's a possibility, although he said he didn't know just yet. But they wouldn't have a choice. Why? Because the public's eye is on them. The eye of the world is on them. Whether the Sussex is gonna come back, and if the Sussexes decide, they get the security and they decided they're gonna go back, there's nothing that the courtiers could do, because again, they don't like publicity. They don't like the spotlight on them, because again, they work in the dark. So if the spotlight is on them, they are going to play the game. So if it's not, then they will do whatever they want. But I wouldn't be surprised to see them there, because I know it's something Harry wants to do, at least to introduce them, and for them to see Lily, and introduce them to Lily, the Queen, at least to Lily, and then for her to see Archie again in person. So let's see, one more. Hi, Raven. Raven, I didn't say hi to you tonight. How are you? If they had the party for her, they would definitely have been talking about other they would definitely have been talking about other than the paper to show that see, Harry, you're wrong about what the queen is doing. Absolutely, that's the thing. Exactly. If there was a party for the queen, the tabloids would have had that to disprove Harry. But there has been nothing. At least I have not seen anything, about the queen's birthday party. Nothing. Zero, zilch. I have heard nothing about any party for her, or that the Cambridges were visiting her, which they claimed. So yeah. Yeah. And Jessica says Petal Hannibal was an African Moor who crossed the Alps on the back of elephants and conquered most of Europe and held it for 300 years. Wow. Thank you for the edu, Jessica. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think that's probably what Patricia was trying to tell me. Sorry, didn't get it. Thank you for the education. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good to learn something new every day. And Adrian says, yep, yep, yep. Ooh, a lot of yep, absolutely. That's what Elizabeth did when Churchill was alive. He was giving her instructions, just like Trudeau. And when Diana died, for Lizzie to lower the flags halfway. Let's see if I understand what I'm reading. He was giving her instructions, just like Trudeau when Diana died, for Lizzie to lower the flags. I'm not sure I understand. I don't know. My brain isn't working quite. I think I'm losing my mind. Maybe I need to go to sleep. Sorry, Adrian. Explain. And Patricia, thank you. So Black people are no strangers to Europe. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you for explaining that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The Moors were in Spain. Thank you so much. Sometimes you need sometimes you need simple things. Thank you. And I think today is one of those days my mind isn't I don't understand. Dolores says, when the Queen passed, William and Charles going to have the time with Andrew. Well, honestly, I think William and Charles are going to have a time with each other, because those two, the way those houses brief against each other, I'm like, it will be interesting to see the battle for power, because, that's going to be going on between them, because apparently with William, there's, his thing is that he doesn't really respect Charles. And Charles doesn't know how to stand up to William. So that would be a big thing there. So don't be surprised if you see some battles of the Windsors with Charles and William. So yeah. And I think, the reason why the Queen has been so adamant to raise Andrew's profile is she knows what they're going to do to him when she passes. So she, as horrible as it is because of what Andrew has done, she knows what they're going to do to him. And, she lives in a snake pit. So she knows this thing of that. She knows the bite. And so that's why she's trying to, I think, set up Andrew in every way she can, to make sure that he survives whatever it is that they throw at him. As whatever you think of what Andrew has done, she's doing whatever she can, because she knows. Joseph says, hi, Joseph Bruno, how are you today? Joseph said it would be nearly impossible to make another secret visit. The radar are primes for that now going forward. Yeah, it would be, but the thing about it with Harry is military, and he is trained. They are trained to disappear. They know how to disappear. They know how to be ninjas. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to pull it off. If anybody in that family could pull off a secret visit, will it be him? He has so many connections in the military, in the defense force, in government, in the U.S. government. I mean, just look at Invictus. and see how many connections and how many people from the, all countries. I mean, NATO had, I think it's like 20 reps from, like, I think 20 different countries there who, there to be part of Invictus. Harry is connected. So if anybody is trained to do something covert like this, would be him. So if he pulls this off, I wouldn't be surprised that he could pull that off. And I think the fact that the British press has been so ridiculous, like, with when Harry said, the Queen tells him things that she tells nobody else. The very fact that Harry came into that country, nobody not even courtiers of Buckingham Palace knew that he was there until he left and said, yes, I was there. That in itself alone proved that the Queen and Harry know things that they don't tell other people. That is, that simple thing is, that's the evidence right there. The fact is, nobody knew other than Harry, Meghan, and the Queen. So obviously, she tells them things and he tells her things that nobody else knows. That's the facts right there. And that they're like, he's arrogant to say this. She tells it. And I'm like, he came into the country. Nobody knew. Not even the courtiers. So it's like, that's your proof if you just think about it. So, but anyway, so moving on from there, I wanted to close it on a positive note. I saw this story. Let's get rid of this one. Thank you, Joseph, for your comment. So this is so cute. This little boy, his dad was at Invictus, and I guess this is, in the US we call it show and tell. The kids get up and they show whatever it is they're showing from home or whatever and talk about it to the class. And little William, it says, year 2 thoroughly enjoyed hearing about at We Are Invictus, the Invictus Games, which William's daddy took part in. We are very proud of him and his achievements. And it was just like, oh, little William went to school. And so I'm assuming he may have been at The Hague with his dad. He might have been. And that was his show and tell. And that's his dad in the picture in the back of him there. And I just think that it's just so cute and special. I mean, how, as a parent, how proud, and just how heartfelt it is. And so the dad saw the tweet and he's like, okay, now I'm actually crying. So proud of my William. He's my rock, always has a kind word to say, and his love being a part of my Invictus journey. And I just thought that was like, oh, that is just so precious. I don't know. It's like, just this is a tiny little kid. And, I always think as a veteran, you have so many things you're going through. And the one thing you want is, your kids to be proud of you. And whatever it's the injury or, disability or whatever it is you're going through. And you just want the kids to be, inspired by whatever it is you're doing. And to see this little child, that's his show and tell, and want to be, telling the proud, whatever it is his dad did at Invictus. And I just thought that was just, I'm like, that is just the sweetest thing. And the Invictus game keeps on giving, I just was like, oh. So I just wanted to end. I thought it was just very, very, very sweet and just very, very, very special. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Oh my gosh, 315 of my favorite people are here hanging with me. Thank you guys so much. And I've been talking for 2 hours. Holy crap. I didn't realize it was so long. Sorry, guys. Oh, wow. I wasn't paying attention to the time. I was just like, blah, 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 blah. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me for the 2 hours. Please like, subscribe, to our channel, or if you'd like to support us, you can join our channel or join our 2 cents crew, and that way you can support us on a monthly basis to do more stuff with the channel and spend more time on it, creating content for it, which would be my passion to do this full time. That would be awesome. Also, there are a lot of different ways that you can support us. You can, if you're we do have merchandise. If you're interested, please shop until you drop. That would be awesome, actually. And also too, if you're interested, we do have the background, as you can see in the back there, the link is in the show notes. If you're interested in getting prints of it, this in links is in the show notes. We also do have PayPal. We also do have Cash App. So you can, obviously, no obligation at all. But if you are, if you'd like to support us, we would greatly appreciate it. So thank you guys so much for hanging with me and chatting with me and indulging me in all of this. And I will just say bye to everyone. Who else I didn't see in or say hello to in the chat? Let's see. Who else is here? Is it Jacuzzi? I don't know how to say it. I'm horrible with pronunciation, as you can tell. I am just not good at this at all. If you can drop me a phonetics, that would be really, really great. So I can say it correctly. I know with a weird name like Petal, it's just like I'm very sensitive to saying names correctly, even though I don't care if people mispronounce my name, which they always do anyway, so it doesn't matter. So and also see Gilliam Donald Bent, hello. And Legs, I saw you because you made a comment. And let's see, Ma Jones, I had you. KG, hello. And see, we got Angela, Sonia, hello, Sonia. And Lorna, hi, Lorna. Didn't see you there before. How are you? Let's see, Adrian. I think we got Adrian already. And I'm scrolling all the way up. I think I got everyone. Oh, Melancholy Baby. Oh, interesting. I like Melancholy Baby. Hello. Let's see, Carolyn. I think I got you before. Let's see who else is in the chat. Fancy. Hello, Fancy. Let's see who else. Hi, Dolores. But thank you guys so much. Have a fantastic evening. And we are going to go out with some music. Let's get some music out here. Thank you guys so much for hanging with me, and I will see you next time. Bye.